Have you ever noticed this? You get a big idea, a goal, a plan, a dream, and the first thing you want to do is tell someone. Maybe you want their encouragement. Maybe you want to feel proud. Maybe you just want to be heard. So you share it. You tell your friends. You post it online. You say things like, I'm starting a business. I'm writing a book. I'm finally going to change my life. And for a moment, it feels amazing. You feel powerful. You feel seen. But then, days pass. Momentum fades. The fire gets smaller. The action never quite matches the announcement. And you're left wondering, what happened to all that energy? It's not just you. This is something many of us fall into. Without realizing the hidden cost. We think that speaking our goals will make them real. But often, speaking too soon steals the power from doing. There's a kind of magic in silence. A sacred energy in building quietly. Not because you're hiding. Not because you're unsure. But because you're focused. You're letting your work grow roots. Before you show the world the branches. In this episode, we'll talk about the power of privacy. Of building in the dark. Of protecting your dreams while they're still delicate. You'll learn why revealing your plans too early can actually undermine them. You'll learn how to recognize the difference between accountability and approval seeking. And most importantly, you'll learn how to build a life that speaks for itself. No noise, no hype, just results. So let's begin the journey inward. Let's talk about why silence isn't weakness, but wisdom. Chapter 1. Why you feel the need to tell everyone. You get a good idea. It lights you up. You feel something stirring inside. Excitement, possibility, fire. And then, what do? You want to tell someone. Right now. You open your messages. You call a friend. You post something vague but confident. Big things coming soon. Watch this space. I'm cooking up something. And suddenly, even though nothing's happened yet, you already feel a little proud. A little seen. A little validated. But here's the hidden truth. Telling people your plans feels like progress. But it isn't. In fact, it often robs you of the very energy you need to begin. Because your brain doesn't fully distinguish between doing something and talking about doing it. The dopamine trap. When you share your plans, your brain gives you a reward. It releases dopamine. The same chemical you get from food, sex, laughter, or achievement. Except, you haven't achieved anything yet. You've just announced intention. But that little hit of validation? It's enough to make you feel like you've already started. So what happens? The urgency fades. The discipline weakens. The fire cools down, because you've already been applauded. You wanted encouragement, but got approval. There's a difference between sharing for support and sharing for significance. Support says, I'm scared. Can you help hold me accountable? Approval says, I want to feel special, even before I've done the work. We all crave connection. We all want to feel seen. But when the need to be seen comes before the need to build, you end up performing progress, not making it. The ego's role. Let's go deeper. Sometimes, the one who speaks too soon isn't your true self. It's your ego. The ego wants recognition before effort, praise without proof, significance without structure. It's not evil, it's just insecure. And when you let the ego lead the way, you'll spend more time trying to impress people than becoming someone who doesn't need to. Why this is so tempting. We live in a world where visibility equals value. If people don't see it, it doesn't count. You feel pressure to post the gym pic, not just go. To show your morning routine, not just live it. To declare your project, not just build it quietly. You want the world to know, I'm doing something meaningful. But here's the twist. The more time you spend proving you're doing something, the less time you have to actually do it. And the more people you tell, the more their expectations begin to weigh on you. External pressure, internal paralysis. When you declare a big goal publicly, you think it'll keep you motivated. But for many people, it has the opposite effect. You start worrying about judgment. You feel like you can't change your mind anymore. You carry the weight of needing to succeed visibly. And instead of experimenting, failing, adjusting, learning, you freeze. Because now it's no longer about growth. It's about saving face. So why do we do it? Because speaking feels safe. Safer than risking silence and action. Because saying, I'm going to do something great, is easier than quietly becoming someone great. Because we think validation will keep us moving, when it often makes us stop. A shift in awareness. So, if you see yourself in this pattern, you're not wrong. You're not broken. You're human. You're wired for social reward. But now, you see it. And awareness breaks the spell. From here, you can start making different choices. Final reflection. Before you share that next idea, pause. Ask yourself, am I looking for support or significance? Do I need feedback or just attention? Am I sharing this because it's real or because I want it to feel real? And most of all, can I let myself build quietly and trust that the results will speak when they're ready? Because here's what no one tells you. You lose nothing by staying silent, but you gain power, focus, and freedom when you do. Chapter 2: The Power of Building in Silence. Silence is often misunderstood. We're taught that if you're not seen, you're not doing enough. That if you're quiet, you're falling behind. That if you're not constantly posting, talking, or promoting, you're invisible. But here's the paradox. Real growth doesn't make noise. Roots grow deep before anything breaks the surface. Some of the most powerful things in life happen in silence. Healing, strengthening, evolving, becoming. It's not that you're hiding. It's that you're focused, you're building. And building takes space, stillness, and trust. Why silence is a power, not a weakness. In silence, no one's opinions shape your steps. No distractions. No applause. No resistance. You're free to fail privately. To experiment without fear. To change your mind without explanation. You have room to grow, on your terms. And when you emerge, you won't need permission, because your work will speak for itself. The bamboo lesson. Think of the bamboo tree. For the first several years you see nothing. You water it. You care for the soil. You wait. And then, suddenly, it shoots up several feet in just a few weeks. What happened? The roots were growing. Quietly. Invisibly. Powerfully. If someone walked past, they might have said, "This plant's going nowhere." But you knew better. And your growth is no different. The world might not see your process, but one day, they'll see your presence. Build in silence equals build with integrity. When you build quietly, you're not building for likes. You're building for longevity. You're not tailoring your dream to be more shareable. You're making it stronger. Because the more people watching you in real time, the more tempted you are to perform instead of grow. But in silence, you're accountable only to your standard. Not the algorithm. Not someone else's expectation. Just the truth of what you're creating. And that is rare. Privacy protects power. Here's a truth few talk about. Energy leaks when it's not protected. When you talk too much about what you're doing, you start to spend that energy outward. You're busy defending your vision, explaining your moves, seeking reassurance. But when you stay silent, you save that energy. You use it to think more clearly, to move more deliberately, to listen to your intuition, not opinions. Your project becomes your temple. Private, sacred, untouched by noise. What happens in the quiet? Here's what silence gives you. Depth. Because you're not performing, you go deeper. Resilience. You make mistakes privately and grow faster. Clarity. You know what you're doing and why without 10 voices in your head. Mystery. When you don't show everything, people pay attention when you finally do. There is power in being underestimated. There is peace in being unnoticed. There is freedom in being invisible for a while. Real builders work quietly. Think of the people you admire, not for how loud they are, but for what they produce. They're focused, disciplined, intentional. They build the foundation. They master the basics. They live offline more than online. And then one day the world looks up and says, "Where did they come from?" But the truth is, you've been becoming this all along. In the quiet. In the dark. In the work no one saw. Practical ways to build quietly. 1. Keep your circle small. Share your vision only with people who understand your values, not your ego. 2. Separate creation from presentation. Work in silence. Refine in silence. Launch when it's real. 3. Resist the urge to update. You don't need to explain why you've been quiet. Just return stronger. 4. Use silence as fuel. Let people underestimate you. Let them doubt. Let them forget. Then show up so strong they can't ignore you. Final reflection. Building in silence doesn't mean staying silent forever. It means knowing when to speak. It's not about withholding. It's about protecting the sacred space where your vision takes shape. So if you feel behind because you're not talking as much, posting as much, or sharing your every step, remember, trees don't announce their growth. They just rise. And one day they're towering. Quiet, but undeniable. You are allowed to do the same. Let your silence shape you. Let your work mature in peace. And when the time is right, you won't have to say a word. Your life will speak for you. Chapter 3: Not everyone deserves to see the process. Let's get one thing clear. Not everyone deserves access to your becoming. Not everyone gets a front row seat to your growth, your struggles, your vision. And the sooner you accept this, the more peace, power, and focus you'll gain. We live in a time where showing the journey is glorified, romanticized, marketed. But the truth is, the process is sacred, and sacred things deserve protection. Why you don't owe anyone visibility. You don't need to prove you're working on yourself. You don't need to post your hustle, your routines, your plans. The right people won't need constant updates, and the wrong people will misunderstand them anyway. Some people only want a glimpse to judge. Some will pretend to support, but quietly hope you don't succeed. Some are too limited in their thinking to understand what you're building. That's okay. You're not building it for them. Your process is for you first. Your vision? Still forming. Still tender. Still too young to defend itself from doubt and noise. So why expose it? Would you take a seedling, just beginning to sprout, and throw it into a storm? No. You'd cover it, water it, let it strengthen in private. Your personal transformation deserves the same care. Oversharing equals overexposing. Here's a subtle trap. You start something. You share a glimpse. You get some attention, or resistance. And now you feel the need to explain, to prove, to justify. Before you know it, you're spending more time talking about what you're doing than actually doing it. That's the cost of premature exposure. It drains your focus. It feeds your ego. It kills your momentum. Not everyone sees you clearly. Some people only know the old you. They haven't updated their image of who you're becoming. And when they see you evolving, they don't cheer. They question. They say things like, "You've changed. Are you sure this is for you?" That seems like a lot. But what they really mean is, you're outgrowing the version of you I'm comfortable with. You don't owe them comfort. You owe yourself growth. Discernment is protection. This chapter isn't about becoming secretive. It's about becoming selective. There's a difference between hiding and holding your process with care, between isolation and intentional privacy. So ask yourself, who has earned the right to hear your vulnerable ideas? Who listens with wisdom, not judgment? Who expands your vision instead of shrinking it? If you can't name anyone, it's okay. That just means your process is meant to be solo for now. And there's deep power in that too. What to share, what to keep, share. What you've already learned, what you've lived through and processed, what no longer controls you. Dreams still forming, plans still unfolding, wounds still healing. Not out of fear, but out of respect. Respect for your own journey. Practice the silent build boundary. Before you post, pause. Before you tell someone your next big step, pause. Am I sharing this because it's ready, or because I need reassurance? Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is, "You'll see," or even better, say nothing at all. Final reflection. Everyone wants to be understood, but not everyone is meant to understand you. That doesn't make them bad people. It just means their vision was never meant to carry your dream. So hold it close. Protect it like a fire in your hands. Let it grow. Let it root. Let it become. And when it's time, not for approval, not for applause, but when it's ready, you won't need to explain yourself. You'll embody it. Because the process was never meant to be proven. It was meant to be lived. Not everyone deserves to see the process, but one day they'll witness the result, and that will be enough. Chapter 4. When to share and when to stay quiet. Silence is powerful, but silence all the time? Not always wise. Just like too much sharing can scatter your energy, too much secrecy can isolate you. So the real mastery is this: knowing when to share and when to stay quiet. This chapter is about discernment, about timing, trust, and intention. Because words are like seeds. If you plant them in the wrong season, they don't grow. Why timing matters. There are moments when your idea, your dream, your plan is too fresh, too raw, too sacred. Sharing it too soon exposes it to criticism before it's strong enough to stand. But there are also moments when silence becomes a form of fear. Fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of being seen fully. So how do we tell the difference? That's what we'll explore now. When to stay quiet. Let's begin with the wisdom of stillness. Here are moments when it's better to keep things to yourself. 1. When your idea is still forming. You're still unsure. If it's not clear even to you, don't force it into words. Give it space to breathe, to evolve, to become more than a spark. 2. When the person you want to tell isn't safe. Not everyone holds dreams with care. If they tend to mock, minimize, or doubt, hold your process back. It's not about secrecy. It's about protection. 3. When your energy is better used in action. Ask yourself, do I need to talk about this? Or do I just need to get to work? Talking can feel productive, but often it's a delay. Sometimes the most powerful move is quiet execution. 4. When the need to share comes from insecurity. Be honest. Are you telling someone just so they'll believe in you? Because you don't believe in yourself yet? Then don't hand over your power. Build your belief first. Let the work speak when it's ready. When to share. But let's be clear. Silence is not a virtue in all things. There are moments to speak. Let's name them. 1. When you need real support. Not attention. Not praise. But wise, grounded feedback. A mentor. A coach. A friend who doesn't flatter, but listens. Asking for help is strength, not weakness. 2. When it's time to build a team. If your vision requires collaboration, you'll need to articulate it. But only once it's solid. Not perfect, but clear enough to guide others. Half-baked dreams confuse people. Well-formed ones inspire them. 3. When silence turns into shame. If you're hiding your work because you don't think it's good enough, that's not strategy. That's self-rejection. There comes a point when staying silent is no longer wise. It's fear in disguise. Sometimes sharing just a little helps you step out of your own shadow. 4. When your story helps someone else. You don't have to wait until it's all polished. Sometimes your process, your mess, your lessons, your pivots is exactly what someone else needs to hear. Not to impress, but to serve. The filter questions. Before you share, pause and ask, am I sharing to connect or to be validated? Is this the right time, or am I still figuring it out? Will this help the person I'm telling, or just distract me? Let your answer guide you. Not your impulse. Not your ego. Your vision is too important for careless exposure. Final reflection. There's nothing wrong with silence. And there's nothing wrong with speaking. But there is a wrong timing. Mastery means listening, not just to your idea, but to the moment. Some things need roots before they rise. Others need wings once they're ready. The art is knowing which is which. So the next time you feel the urge to share, take a breath. Is this the time to protect, or the time to reveal? And remember, your words carry weight. Use them with intention. Speak when it strengthens. Stay quiet when it protects. Both are power. Chapter 5. Build, then speak. Let your results be the proof. In a world that's addicted to attention, being quiet feels rebellious. And in a world obsessed with showing off the process, there's something radically powerful about someone who builds first and speaks later. Not because they're shy, not because they're unsure, but because they know the most undeniable truth is a finished product. Talk less, do more. There's a saying, don't talk about the thing, become the thing. Anyone can talk. Very few people follow through. Anyone can plan. Very few people build. So let this be your standard. Do it first, then speak, if needed. When you build in silence, you don't need to explain, because the work speaks for itself. Louder, stronger, cleaner. No one argues with results. You don't have to convince anyone you're disciplined. When your habits show up in your health, you don't need to declare your ambition. When your consistency reveals it over time, you don't have to say, I'm serious about this. When your results already show you are. Let others chase recognition. You chase mastery. Let others post for likes. You post when there's something real to say. The craft is the message. You don't need fancy words. If your work is sharp, you don't need to defend your vision. If your progress is visible, you don't need to rush out statements. When your example is already a full sentence, the more you build, the less you'll need to speak, because your life becomes the proof, not just the project, but the discipline behind it, the mindset that shaped it, the version of you who created it. That's credibility, and it's earned, not announced. Let the foundation speak. When the time comes, you won't need to say, I'm working on something. You'll simply release it. You won't say, watch me. You'll act, and they will. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. Because when you know who you are, you don't ask for attention. You command it by being undeniable. Quiet work creates loud impact. Steve Jobs didn't tell the world every time Apple made progress. He unveiled it when it was ready. Bruce Lee said, don't speak negatively about yourself, even as a joke. Your body doesn't know the difference. Words are energy. So are results. Let them carry your message. Let them tell the story. Let them answer the critics. So you don't have to. Who you become is louder than what you say. You don't need to say, I'm focused. Your habits will reveal it. You don't need to say, I've changed. Your presence will say it louder. You don't need to say, I'm healing. Your peace will be impossible to ignore. Because energy can't lie. And when your life is built on quiet, steady, focused action, people feel it before you even open your mouth. Final summary, 5 truths to take with you. Let's close this episode by grounding the lessons in 5 timeless truths. 1. Sharing too early drains your power. Build first. 2. Privacy is not weakness. It's wisdom. 3. Not everyone deserves access to your becoming. 4. Speak with discernment, not impulse. 5. Your results will always speak louder than your words. If you live by these, you won't need approval. You'll earn respect. Quietly. Powerfully. You don't have to show everyone your map. You just have to keep walking. You don't have to prove you're going somewhere. You just have to arrive. So fully, so completely, so rooted in truth, that no one can deny it. So build quietly. Work deeply. Protect the vision that's not yet ready. And when the time comes, you won't need to say anything, because everything about you will already say it all. Thank you for listening. If this episode brought you clarity, share it with someone who's building too. Until next time, stay focused, stay silent, stay undeniable,